I gave a letter to the postman. He put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, he brought my letter back. She wrote upon it.
The government is asking Judge Anderson to act as quickly as possible, and we are asking him to make his report with the least possible delay.
The government expected that the appointment of Commissioner Anderson would bring a quick end to the strike. "We don't trust them," said Roger de Cary. "They'll ask us to go back to work, and then, after taking a long time to study our salaries, they'll offer us $25. Despite the government's announcement, the strike spread throughout Quebec, Ontario, and British Columbia. All of a sudden, the boys decided that as so many post offices were walking out across the country, we had to go, and the boys just went. A postal worker, Windsor. In Montreal and Vancouver, the part-time women walked the line, uncertain if they would have jobs to go back to, but hoping the strike would bring them better conditions too. "It already had," said one woman. "The strike is my first opportunity in more than 4 years to take a vacation." In Toronto, it was all chaos and confusion. Executive members of the Toronto clerks and letter carriers remained opposed to strike action. Unable to contact his executive, Alec Power, a Scotsman with family roots deep in the labor movement, took the initiative to hire a hall and called a joint meeting of carriers and clerks.
The atmosphere was electric. And, you know, people were saying we should be out there with our brothers in Montreal. Why are they out alone?
The executive basically was telling the membership, well, we can't afford a strike. If you guys go out and strike, you're all going to be fired. There's no money in the treasurer to fight a strike action.
From the floor, a postal worker shouted, "There's been more done in the last 2 days than the association ever did. Why let Montreal fight our battles?" A cheer went up. Fights broke out. The chair could not keep order.
The militant action was getting results, and the membership were aware of that. The passive attitude of the old boys in the bureaucracy no longer was getting results, and that's what the membership wanted, results.
"The government won't give you anything unless you show you're not afraid to go out on strike," said letter carrier Wayne Black in moving a motion to take strike action. Jimmy Brown and Alec Power came up from the floor and took over the meeting. They created a strike committee, and so, with no money and no organization, Toronto had joined the strike. The president of the Toronto letter carrier said they should all be thrown in jail. The world seemed upside down, recalled Raymond Simon. Those who previously frozen the wages of post office workers were now offering support.
In my opinion, the postal employees have a just claim.
The president of the Toronto Clerks, Al Penny, crossed his own picket line, and the picture was carried across the country over the wire service. While newspaper editorials praised the dedication and responsibility of post office workers and placed the blame for the strike squarely on the government. If there's to be a war on poverty, argued an editorial in the Vancouver province, let it start in the post office.
Pour finir ma chanson, après mille réflexions, à bas le ministère, et on vivra cet hiver.
C'était un picnic.
It was a picnic.
The picket line, la ligne de
The picket line, it was like, we were singers. I remember we would sing.
660, 660, et puis ça allait comme ça. Alors, les gens
People joined in and sang.
You stood up and you were yourself and spoke for what you felt values were. It helped. It strengthened me. Yes, it did.
There was a lot of confidence on that picket line, you know, a lot of solidarity and confidence. The place was it was a different working place after the 65 strike.
One part of me was thrilled to see the impossible taking place and the pride of hundreds of people bursting forth as if they had lost the fear of their own shadows. On the other hand, the way it was unfolding certainly undercut the authority of our leaders in Ottawa. I kept wishing they would just endorse the strike and get on with the bargaining, but it didn't happen. Joe Davidson.
One time, I had gotten home around 1:30 in the morning. I received a phone call from a guy called Boisjoli telling me that scabs were going in through the southeast door. Hundreds of scabs. Come take care of it, he said. I took a cab. It was a half hour from Rosemont where I lived, and I arrived there at 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a police officer waiting for me and pointed his gun at me. I looked at him and asked, "What's going on?" He said, "Willie, we're putting you behind bars if you don't switch coffee brands." The entire picket line was hidden inside the building, and suddenly they all came out. Everybody was laughing except me. It took me a couple of minutes to pull myself together.
Having considered this matter rather carefully, that my report will recommend that instead of $300, as recommended by the Civil Service Commission, postal clerks 1, letter carriers, and mail handlers should all receive the same increase as postal clerks 2, namely $360, retroactive.
Anderson promised another wage increase after further review. "Will you go back now?" the press repeatedly asked Alec Power. "Our point wasn't to get a review," he said. "It was and is to get the pay increases we asked for in the very beginning."
The Postal Workers Brotherhood leadership and the Canadian Labour Congress leaned very, very heavily on the strike leadership to try to force us back to work.
But the CLC, Jaudoin was the president, and Morris asked Descartes and I to come to Ottawa and told us, "You know, guys, you've been on strike for a week, you made a good show, go back in." I said, "No, we're not going back until we see the numbers."
For the first time in its history, the federal government has opened negotiations with its employees, said Roger Descartes. If it makes one offer, it will be willing to make another.
But the Congress said that after 5 days, Jaudoin knew me. He said, "Go in and then we'll be able to work for you." We didn't go back.
Hoping to profit from the disarray, the government took a hard, inflexible line.
There will be no departure from those recommendations of Judge Anderson so far as the government is concerned. We have acted on his report. We have acted on it in a positive way, and that is that.
The majority on the National Ad Hoc Committee, consisting of the 3 representatives of the Brotherhood and 3 non-strikers, outvoted the 3 strikers, Kay, Oul, and Charlie Maguire, and immediately called a press conference.
It's the Brotherhood. It was the ad hoc committee. And then, naturally, we said we didn't accept the judge's report. And then the doors opened. There were doors there. And there we saw Benson, our national president, the guys of the Brotherhood. And then...
The majority has agreed. The majority. There are 6 of them, of course, they agreed. And the newspaper were asking, and we were not even sitting at a table there. It was the national president who had done nothing, and some others, and Benson, another smooth chief from Ottawa. The Brotherhood has undertaken